How many squares can you find in the figure below? Now here, this one is the figure. The figure is made up of a lot of small squares. Actually, there are 5 by 5 small squares. Okay, we need to count the number of squares. And one thing we need to be careful is what kind of squares we should count. Obviously, we have to count this kind of a small square, but you should notice that the whole figure itself is another square, and we can actually make other kind of a square. For example, if you make 2 by 2 square, so this is actually counted as 1 square, or 3 by 3 square, this can also be counted as 1 square, or 4 by 4 squares. So we have different cases. So one thing, let's note it down, we need to be careful with, that is to count systematically, which means we have to count every case. And the cases we have here is we have to count this kind of small square, 2 by 2 square, 3 by 3 square, 4 by 4 squares, and of course the 5 by 5 square, the whole figure. So let's do it case by case. Let's look at the first case, counting the small square. Obviously, counting the small squares is a multiplication because there are 5 squares in a row and 5 squares in a column. So we can use 5 times 5 to stand for the number of the small squares. Now let's move on a little bit difficult case, that is the 2 by 2 square. Okay, now even counting for each case, we still have to count systematically, which means let's try to maybe only look at countings in a row made up of 2 small squares. Okay, how many 2 by 2 square in this row? Now, let's count one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there are in total 4 2 by 2 square in this kind of row. Okay, now how many row we have? That is the next question. Let's see how many row we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 such rows. So in total, there will be 4 times 4 2 by 2 squares. Okay, similarly, we can count the 3 by 3 squares. Let's first count in a row. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 3 by 3 squares in a row. Okay, how many rows we have? 1 row. This is the second row. This is the third row. So in total, there are 3 rows we can count, and each row we have 3 such squares. We have 3 rows, so we can use 3 times 3 to stand for the total number of 3 by 3 squares. Okay, maybe you already noticed there's the pattern. 5 times 5, 4 times 4, 3 times 3. So you should expect the next one should be 2 times 2. Let's just simply check it out for the 4 by 4 case. Okay, horizontal list. In a row, we can have 1, 2, 4 by 4 squares. And how many such row we have? We have 1 row, 2 row. So our guess is correct, 2 times 2. And if we follow the pattern to the right next line, that will be 1 by 1 for the last case, the whole figure. And now let's look at the answer. The answer will be the sum from all these multiplications. So let's simply do the calculations. 2 times 2 is 25, 4 times 4 is 16, and 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. So let's add all this together. It's 25 plus 16 plus 9 plus 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1, and the answer is, okay, this is 10, this is 20, 30, 55. Okay.